two-a-days. We're doing two on Tuesday, one at 10 and one at 11:30. We're taking some time out of our Tuesdays to highlight businesses within the city that have done an amazing job at pivoting during the COVID-19 pandemic. And you've heard some of those stories of people who were able to do great things during this time. So today is no exception. Our next guest is the fabulous and amazing Jasmine Crowe of Goodr. She is a local darling of the startup community in Atlanta and is well known. For more than a decade, Jasmine has served as a model of how hard work and determination can result in change for our most vulnerable population, the homeless. In 2017, Jasmine created Goodr, a tech-enabled sustainable food waste management company aimed at eliminating hunger and reducing food waste, which I think are both very admirable endeavors. To date, Jasmine has hosted activation in more than 20 US cities in the UK, South Africa, Panama, and Haiti, a true global brand. She's fed over 80,000 people through her Sunday Soul homeless food initiative. She's also diverted nearly 2 million pounds of food from landfills, and her list of clients include Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, the Georgia World Congress Center, and Netflix. Jasmine has been featured on CNBC, HLN, Forbes, and was named one of the most 100 inspiring female entrepreneurs by Entrepreneur Magazine. So we're very honored to have her with us today. I know she's very, very busy. And if that wasn't enough, she's also been appointed by Governor Kemp to be part of his Corona Task Force community outreach team. Today's live format will be held in a conversation setting. Jasmine will be chatting with our Assistant Director of Business Retention and Expansion, Sabrina Young-Wright. If you have any questions or comments for Jasmine, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll leave some time to have them answered at the end, and the chat is on your right-hand side. So Jasmine, thank you so much for taking time with us. We know that you're very busy, so we appreciate you spending time with us, and I'll turn it over to you guys now.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sabrina Young-Wright, Assistant Director of Business Retention, Expansion, and Workforce Programs at Invest Atlanta. And good morning to you, Jasmine. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us today.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Excellent, excellent. So we've been hearing a lot about Goodr, and for those who haven't heard, can you just tell us a little bit more about Goodr and how you got started here in Atlanta?
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me. I'm really big fans of Invest Atlanta. I started feeding people that were experiencing homelessness in the city of Atlanta when I moved here in 2013. And, I always get asked the question, what made you start doing that? And I really don't have an answer. I just felt compelled and moved in my spirit to do something. And I knew that I didn't have a lot, but that didn't prevent me from doing a little bit, right? Making the impact that I could. And so I started feeding people in 2013, and I kind of evolved it into a pop-up restaurant experience where I would rent tables and chairs and linens, and I would get flowers donated from Trader Joe's and make these floral arrangements, menus. And a video from one of those restaurants went viral on Facebook. And people were saying, this is so amazing, which restaurants donate the food. And the reality was nobody. I was couponing, price matching, and I was cooking all of the apartment. And so when people were asking that question, I started thinking like it would be so great if I could get this food donated. And at that time, I started researching food waste, and quite frankly, was really upset with how much food was going to waste when I was really struggling to figure out how I was going to come up with the money and couponing and price matching, and then actually cooking all of this food, to read that billions of pounds of perfectly good food goes to waste every year. Is really what got me on the path to starting Goodr. And so, as Nathan said, we are a food waste management company. We help businesses find better use cases for their surplus food. Instead of putting it in landfill, we can help it get to people in need if it's edible, or turn it into compost, animal feed, and even energy in some cases.
Wow, that is amazing. So how did you get started with the Goodr concept? And I know you mentioned briefly about you're preparing food and doing all of those things yourself. Is that what your Dining with Dignity and the Soul Sunday was about?
That's exactly what that was about. It was about treating people with respect. And I remember one time my mom, God love her, when I first was feeding on the street, she said to me one time, well, where they're homeless, you can give them anything. And I was like, that's not true. Like I had to really kind of teach a lot of my friends and family members that homelessness is something that you experience. So while I may have said I served events and I was hosting events for people that were experiencing homelessness, that's not an adjective that I like to use to describe somebody, right? They are
Right.
experiencing homelessness, but that doesn't just mean they're homeless. And because they're going through something, doesn't mean that all of their beliefs and, kind of dietary restrictions just go out the door. So I would always have 4 options. I'd have a seafood option, I'd have a beef option, a pork option, and a chicken option, because I believed, and just vegetables as well, because I just believed that
Wow.
people deserved dignity and choice.
Wow. That's amazing. And you were doing that at your own cost, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I
Wow.
first got started, I had a local food bank that was donating to me, and then the police came to one of my feedings in the parking lot, and then they got afraid and basically said they couldn't donate to me anymore. So a lot of people thought I was going to quit, but I just became really savvy, and I was like, I got to keep doing this because these people are depending on me. And then I started couponing and price matching and just really doing it all on my own.
Right. How did the Atlanta technology community help you in starting your business in Goodr?
I just feel like the tech community in Atlanta was just really supportive. I mean, when I first was thinking about Goodr, I entered a hackathon that was being hosted by Goody Nation and Google for Startups, and it was being held at Atlanta Tech Village. And for me, that was my first kind of immersion into the tech ecosystem. I'm not a technical founder, so I didn't have a lot of experience in building a tech company, but I had a lot of experience and impact in knowing that what I wanted to do required somebody like me at the helm to lead a team to really fight a problem at scale. And so I would say that the city of Atlanta and the tech ecosystem in Atlanta has just been amazing. I mean, they've been very supportive. So even if it hasn't come from financial contributions or, actually like building things for me, it's come from, hey, that's Goodr, they're in Atlanta, it's that tweet on social media or the retweets or sharing something on LinkedIn. And I think that has meant a lot to me and a lot to my team, knowing that we are just beyond being backed by some amazing investors across the country. We really are backed by the city of Atlanta. A lot of people see us as one of Atlanta's startups, and that is something I really treasure.
Absolutely. You are just a favorite here in the city of Atlanta. So I know that, you mentioned previously about how you were providing all the food and spending your own money in the beginning. How did you convince your first client to get on board with Goodr and start to assist you with food donations?
Yeah, I think it was really talking about the scope of the problem was really critical to be able to show them not only what food waste does on the environment, because it's, a leading contributor to global climate change, having to educate people about that, but then also being able to talk about the fact that the food that they're throwing away, they're already paying for it. So that's what I think was the biggest thing to let people know, is that I wasn't coming in introducing new spin to any company. You're already paying Waste Management, Republic Services, whatever waste company you use, to throw away perfectly good food. And so what I was coming in and introducing was a way to better manage that food and, become better stewards of the environment. So I think that's really what it was, is just getting them also past the fear of liability, really having to educate people on the Good Samaritan Act that President Bill Clinton put in place in 1996. And show,
Wow.
hey, no business in the last 21 years has ever been sued for donating food in good faith, and really driving that home, and then kind of bringing to the table all of the other things. So Goodr has liability insurance. We provide all the packaging materials. We provide the logistics. So we really take on a lot of that risk, if you will, for anything that gets donated. So it was a lot of convincing, and it took a lot of time, and it still does till this day. It's never easy, and it's unfortunate that it is as hard as it is to do good.
Yeah. Who was your first big client? And if you're able to share some of your other clients, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think the first customer that ever gave us a shot was Turner Broadcasting Systems. Well, that's previously what they were. Now they are Warner Media Group. But yeah, they were the first ones, and it came very
Right.
organically off of social media. I had been working on, Goodr, if you will, for about 3 months, pitching it, kind of just talking about it on social media. And an administrative assistant that was working at Turner messaged us on Instagram and said, hey, I'm an executive assistant here at Turner. We waste a ton of food. We've got all these employees. If I put something together with all the different executive assistants that are often ordering food and the chef from our cafeteria, would you come out and present? And I did. And Chef Ryan Witten, who's still, now he's at Coca-Cola, and we still work with him in that capacity there. He said, I love this. I love what you're doing. And as I was really raising the money to build the technology, he just would text me when he had food to pick up. I would go pick it up personally in my car. I would take the picture once it got delivered. I would send him the picture. I would take a picture of the donation receipt, and I was proving how it would work once the technology would be there. And so he was like my customer discovery interview. So sitting with him and asking him all these different questions and really figuring out how I was going to build the technology once that happened. And so from there, it was GWCC, the Atlanta airport came on board. We started working with a lot of film and TV sets throughout Atlanta via Netflix and other production companies. Other customers include SAP, so we service them in 3 of their global locations. We've done work with Google around their holiday parties, EY. So I feel like I'm forgetting so many of them, but we do all of the organics recycling programs for the WeWorks.
Wow.
So yeah, there's several good customers.
So one would think that a business that focuses on feeding these just vulnerable populations would operate as a nonprofit, but I understand that you're not a nonprofit. Explain why you chose that route, and then just what led you to that.
Yeah, we're not a nonprofit. I mean, and that's the other thing I always want to call out is that that's my background. I started nonprofits for celebrities for 7 years before I ever started Goodr. So I've started a lot of nonprofits, and I really understand nonprofits, boards, fundraisings. But what I know is that so many nonprofits spend so much time fundraising. They spend a ton of time, trying to get donations in. And then what that does is it doesn't put as much focus on a daily basis on actually solving the problem. And when I understood that businesses were already paying to throw the food away, I was like, okay, this is a business. Like, you have a business. This isn't a nonprofit. It's not a novel, nice thing to do. And what I knew for sure is that if someone was paying me to do this, they would take it seriously. They would start to change their habits as it related to food waste and, making sure that they were paying attention to all the food that typically does go to waste, because now they're paying for it. If it was a nonprofit, it was a nice to have, and we're just kind of supporting them, I would never get the maximum support and value that I get out of a customer now, because they see they've made an investment. And then now we've made an investment, not a pun intended with Invest Atlanta, but yeah, we've made an investment into this company, and we want to use their services. We want to use their technology. And it made sense to me. I mean, now Goodr does have a foundation that we started. We got funding from Tyson Chicken in September of 2019 last year. So we have the Goodr Foundation. And what we do is we provide serve safe training for nonprofits. We're trying to help nonprofits, better be aware of food safety. It's a big thing for us. We also had some donations of kitchen equipment. So several nonprofits in our network received free refrigerators, stoves, other things to actually prepare food. And then, we do so many things in the community via our pop-up grocery stores and things that we've been doing since we got started that made sense on the foundation side. But on the business side, we really do live by the fact that we are helping businesses feed more people and waste less food, and that is a service. And, just like they pay, as I say, for waste services, we believe Goodr is one of those services, and should be, I would say, if not on the same level as your waste bill, higher, because what you pay to throw away, you never think about again. What you pay to do Goodr with, you can now really see reports and impact and understand how you're really changing the world.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you just mentioned your pop-up grocery store concepts, and just share a little bit about that, and what does it mean to you to have such an iconic Atlanta brands behind you, rallying behind you so much?
Yeah, I mean, the pop-up grocery stores mean a lot to me. It's definitely a spin-off of my Sunday Soul initiatives when I used to cook all of this food and go out and,
Hmm.
people that were experiencing homelessness. And so we started these pop-up grocery stores the same year Goodr started. I think it's extremely important to announce that. Like, I had won a grant from United Way, and United Way was doing a day of service. And Brianna and Emily, who's no longer there at the team at United Way, Charles Stern reached out to me and said, "Hey, we'd love to do an initiative with you guys." And I said, "Well, what about like a pop-up grocery store?" And they said, "Sure." And so we started this early. Like, I think our first one ever was like maybe February or March of 2017, and Goodr started in January
Wow.
17. And so those pop-up grocery stores mean a lot to me. And now they've only gotten better, and it is because of the support of people like State Farm, like the Atlanta Hawks, like MailChimp, who allow us to really use funds at our discretion to service a wider need. And because I have always understood, doing everything I could on a shoestring budget, I'm really
Yes.
able to take a lot of funding and take it to feed a lot of people. And so I understand, hey, working directly with farmers to get produce instead of getting it from, say, a grocery store stretches
Right.
it and allows more families to leave to their homes, excuse me, with an abundance of produce. I understand which stores to work with that have the meats at the best prices. And so we've created a lot of these relationships. And beyond doing them in Atlanta, we're starting to expand them. We have one coming up in New Orleans, and with the New Orleans
Wow.
and the Pelicans. And then we also have a partnership that we've just created with the Los Angeles Lakers. And so we're going to be doing pop-up grocery stores for hospital workers throughout LA, in partnership with UCLA starting in a few weeks. So really excited that like what we built in Atlanta can expand. I mean, Goodr does operate in several other cities, although Atlanta is our largest to date. We're really excited about taking the goodness of Goodr, as I call it, via our community connections to other cities. And that, Sabrina, is one thing I will always say. We have a lot of times when I was raising funding, and people would say, "Well, what's different about you and your competitors or a nonprofit?" And I have always stood on the fact that I have a really deeply rooted connection with communities. And I think and it matters to me how I serve people. I want to give people best food. And anything I think of, I always ask myself, would I eat this?
Right.
Would I feed this to my mother? Would I give this to my grandmother? And if I can't answer unequivocally yes, then it's never good enough for the people that I serve. And knowing that, our partnership with like Atlanta Public Schools, and, being able to talk to the members of the school board and the superintendent and the social workers. I gotta give it
Yes.
to those APS social workers. They have got my whole heart. But being able to connect with them and let them know that I care just as much about the students as they do, that's when you start to have winning partnerships. People just need to know that you care on the same level that they care. And I think that's
Right.
the goodness of Goodr, that we really care about people, more so than we care about bottom line, which investors hate to hear that, but impact is really big for us. Like, we care about how many meals we serve just as much as we care about how much money we would ever make.
Right. That is amazing. You do such amazing work. I know during this COVID crisis, there has to be some challenges or probably an additional workload for you. I assume you're probably a lot busier right now. How has this COVID crisis impacted your business, and what have you done to pivot during this time?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has been a very busy time. I feel like I am busier now than I've ever been, which is crazy to think about, because I'll never forget, it was Friday, March 13th, and we were in the boardroom where I'm sitting right now at the office, and we're watching on our TV, Governor Kemp's state address, and you hear that schools are going to be out for 2 weeks, and
Right.
there's this shelter in place, and I'm freaking out. One of my team members commutes here, so he's based in LA, because we always have been trying to open up in LA. That's always been like our other goal,
Hmm.
expanding. And so I'm telling him, like, you need to go back to LA, just work from home for the next few weeks. We're putting all these work from home kind of rules, if you will, and talking to the team about like, hey, we're going to have daily check-ins. We're still going to do stand-ups, like all this stuff that we're about to do. And I'm thinking
Yeah.
like all the businesses are going to close. So originally we were like, we should just have a one-time pickup feature on our website where businesses that aren't even signed up with us, that don't have access to our app, can just contact us if they want to donate food, and then people can pitch in and pay for those food donations. Because my thinking was, Sabrina, these businesses are going out of business. They definitely don't have the funding, right now to pay for our services. So if there's a way for the everyday person to pay for our service, because there's implicit cost to everything that we do. We have trucks,
Absolutely.
gas, we have employees. So there is a cost there, and I needed to make sure that cost was covered. And so that was the first thought on Friday, right? And then we were already partnering with APS, working with them through the summer to get food to more students throughout the summer.
Yes.
And so then when this happened, we were like, hey, we can help you guys with this grab and go breakfast and lunch program. So then Monday, now we're partnered with APS and we're picking up food and we're delivering across the city to all these different apartment complexes and churches. And then from there, several of the APS social workers were like, hey, I've got some families that have no car, they have no transportation. I remember the first family we ever delivered to, the mom was an amputee. So she really could have never made it to APS to get food,
Right.
pick up for her daughter. And so we delivered groceries to that family. And I just put on Twitter, like, hey, the Atlanta Public School social workers have sent me 17 families that are in desperate need of groceries. If you guys are willing to sponsor groceries for them, we'll pick them up and we'll deliver them. That was the idea. And so we raised about $8,000 from that one tweet, which allowed me to serve about
Amazing.
8. And then from there, Sarah Blakely from Spanx called me and said, hey, I love what you're doing with this grocery delivery. How can we support more families? And, she gave us enough funding to feed or deliver groceries to another 1,000 families, at which point I called Dr. C from APS and said, all these schools are closed. Is there any way we could get a school? Because I need access to walk-in freezers and coolers and I need space. And they found me a school the very next day. And so we've been in this school going on a month. Next week will make a month. And so we went from doing about 17 families in 1 week. So sometimes we would do like 3 a night, 10 a night. It was just literally 5 of us that started this, to now we employ over 53 people. And we have a whole fulfillment center, and we're doing almost 2,500 seniors and families a week. And so that is just like this amazing pivot. But we're still doing Goodr as usual. So we're still picking up food that would have otherwise gone to waste. We were at CNN, we were at Coca-Cola, State Farm Arena, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, all of these large locations that venues closed. Goodr still was there. We recovered all of that food and got it out to our nonprofit networks. And then we're running our grocery delivery program, which has been something that if I could do this even post-COVID, I would totally do it, because Sabrina, so many families have came up to me and called us and messaged us. So not came up to me, not in public, but well, I'll say this: we have a grocery drive-through at our fulfillment center that we operate every day. And a lot of families have said to me, like, this is, I've been ashamed in the past to go to a food bank or go to a food pantry. The level and the quality of this food it's amazing. And so those things make me feel really good, to know that we're giving people food that makes them feel great. Just giving people dignity and choice, and saying, do you want almond milk or dairy milk, has been like so amazing to people. People are like, oh my God, almond milk. Like, they didn't even think that would ever be an option. So what we're doing with Fulton County and City of Atlanta to deliver to seniors, I think is needed beyond COVID-19. I think so many seniors just don't have the means. They're living off of Social Security, very small budgets. And so, to see my drivers telling me, oh man, this lady started crying. She said she hasn't had a good meal in 2 weeks. Those things make me think these programs should be in existence. And I think what coronavirus has opened up everybody's eyes to is a lot of the societal ills that many people face every day. And the only reason that has happened is because people who've never been hungry have been faced with hunger now. And now it's like, okay, this is a big deal. We've heard from nurses that were working in elective surgeries that were out of work. And so last year they didn't get the stimulus check, because last year maybe they made $80,000 to $100,000 a year on people in the film and TV industry. Same thing, hair people, actresses. I mean, all the film and TV sets are closed in Georgia. So you just really start thinking of the numbers, and hunger, the face of hunger, it changes every day. I mean, we've seen people who are driving a Tesla, and we're like, hey, I've been out of work for 2 months. I don't even know where my next, funding is coming from. So I've had to really educate a lot of the masses to let people know that, you can't judge a book by its cover, if you will, right? So you can't judge someone's financial situation by the car that they drive or the house that they're living in right now, because so many people have lost it all, and they've lost it over the last 6 weeks.
Absolutely. That's just amazing, and it's so wonderful that you've just been able to grow and help so many different families. If there are other families out there who would like to reach out to you and sign up for assistance with you or get more information about the food pantries or whatever it is, how can those families reach you?
Definitely, yeah. So we're pushing out a new request form every week now that we've gotten to be able to do 10,000 families a month. Every Tuesday, we make a new request form available on our website, goodr.co. You just click on request food, and you can request food via delivery or pickup. Pickup is a lot faster because you could usually come the next day and pick up. Delivery could take up to 10 days, depending on how many delivery requests we have in. But yeah, families can pick up. They can let us know their allergy restrictions. We do provide formula and baby food for any infants in the house. Families can also let us know if their infant requires any other kind of formula. So if they're only soy, or I know there was one family that we met, it was 2 newborn twins, and it was like a NeoSure formula. So it was like a special formula. And the mom messaged me and said, hey, I can't leave the house. My twins were in the NIC unit. They have to have this formula. And we went out and found it for her. So allergy restrictions, things of that nature. We provide a choice of 6 different meat options. Every family gets 2 dinner entree meats, should we say. And so, yeah, go on our website. The new form is live now, and pickups for that form that we just put out today start tomorrow. So if any family is in need, they can request a food pickup. We also, too, Sabrina, are allowing families to re-request, because we understand that, one box of food, although every Goodr box has about 30 meals in it, 30 to 35 meals in it, we know that that's going to not last for forever. So we are now allowing families to request again. So if they've received food from Goodr via one of our pop-ups or even through our grocery delivery, food runs out. And if they still need food, they can definitely request another order from us. And so we allow them to come twice a month.
That's amazing. We have a question from one of the viewers right now, who they're asking that there's been a lot of news around farmers that have food going to waste. Do you have any thoughts on that and the overall food supply changes?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we've really reached out. We were working with SAP, and we were reaching out to a lot of just different dairy farmers, because so many of the things that are going to waste, we're still buying, and we're having a hard time sometimes buying them. So we've reached out and said, hey, dairy farmers, eggs and milk, we're giving to every family. So if you've got eggs and milk, Goodr will buy them for you to give them to families. I think it always still does rely on that farmer to say, I want to do this, because what happens is, with this, the articles come out and we're like, oh my God, all this food is going to waste. All these people are going hungry, which is always what I've said. Hunger is not an issue of scarcity. It is a matter of logistics, but those farmers need to know that they can either get, better, greater tax incentives from the government, which I do believe USDA is rolling out something where they're purchasing something like $3.3 billion worth of food from different farmers to make sure that it goes to food banks and other organizations. And I'm hoping Goodr will be one of those organizations, because we have the ability to get it out to a lot of people. But it's unfortunate, and it's disheartening to see so much good food going to waste when so many people are in need. And I think that's the story, right? It's not that farmers are having to dump all this food because of the supply in restaurants and schools, because what has never changed, Sabrina, is there's still people, right? Kids and people are being born every day. So just because a restaurant's closed, that same restaurant used to feed 1,000 people. Those people are still hungry, which means there's still a use case for that food. It just needs to get routed to the other places. And it's just, what I think of Goodr is doing is solving the surplus food supply chain problem. And so I would encourage any farmers that may be listening, or people that have access to farmers, to definitely reach out to us. We've done a lot of stuff with like Tyson Chicken, for example, Hormel, where some of their plants were about to close or they were closing their plants, and Goodr sent trucks and got hams and got chicken and got all kind of food and got it out to people weeks ago. And they just had the foresight to reach out to us. But we are here to definitely purchase from farmers, anything that we can. And so I would love to hear from them.
That's amazing. What is your contact information, social media handles, and everything so that everyone will know how to reach out to you?
Yeah, definitely. I always forget our phone number because I'm not the best at it. But our phone number is 404-261-0211. And that's 404-261-0211. So we have a 24-hour hotline. You could definitely leave us a message. You could email us at info@goodr, and that's GOODR.co. Make sure .co, not .com. info@goodr.com, or call us. And then we are Goodr Co on everything and the Goodr Co on Twitter.
Thank you so much. Jasmine, you are such a blessing to the city of Atlanta. We are so happy to have you here in the city doing such great things.
You guys,
We wish you continued success. Just want to thank you for taking the time out to speak with us today. Invest Atlanta, we're going to share this information, this broadcast, to our Invest Atlanta YouTube and our Facebook page if you all want to tune in at a different time and watch that. But thanks to everyone who joined us today, and we will see you again next Tuesday for another Tuesday Talk with another wonderful business doing great work here in the city of Atlanta. Thank you, Jasmine.
guys, have a good one.